Welcome back. Oh, hi. I'm Marc. I used to be a senior artist at Blizzard Entertainment and now I teach art for a living. In this episode of my weekly series that I call YouTube Art School, I am going to show you a simple way to draw faces and the different steps to practice to get there if drawing the whole face is a little too much for you right now. I'll split all the steps in 3 levels so that you can start with the level you feel is most comfortable for you and go from there. Oh no, quickly let's get this class started. Alright, class is in session. Pay attention. Drawing faces is a big focus for a lot of artists, and it's time that I make a class on a topic. I actually made one a while ago for more simple faces meant to be drawn small, but this time I'll focus on faces meant more as portraits or close-up shots. More details basically. Better structure. The class will focus on the process and what to practice to get good at drawing faces ASAP. Stuff I find myself repeating a lot to my students and feel would benefit everyone. It's only a short YouTube video though, so we'll be flying through the content pretty quickly here. There's a lot to cover. But if you like how I teach, I go over drawing the face in much greater detail over many hours in my art program, and to celebrate reaching 8,000 students enrolled, which is crazy to me, you'll find a coupon code in the video description for a big discount valid until the end of the month. If you've already joined, you're awesome. Thank you. Alright, let's get to it. I've split the steps in 3 levels as I said in the intro, so we'll start with the head construction, the most important. We'll then add simple facial features to our heads, and finally we'll slap on additional details at level 3 to end up with something like this here, minus the hair. That's gonna be for another class. The levels are completely made up, of course, but they're similar to what I recommend to my students when I give them feedback, so it's been tested many times and it works really well based on the results. Now, the first level is arguably the hardest, which might sound weird, but if you can get this here, a sphere split horizontally and vertically, you've cleared the biggest challenge. I say it's the hardest part because it's pure dexterity, there's really nothing else to it. So anyways, the intersection that we get here will be the direction the head is facing. Pay attention to the distances between the circle and the side of the ellipses that result from slicing our sphere. It should be the same on both sides. That's how you'll know it's symmetrical, as it should. Next, we're going to draw the guidelines for the hairline, the nose, the mouth, and the chin to complete the construction. Everything conveniently lines up when we split the sphere in thirds. So let's do that first. Take the diameter of the sphere, chop in thirds, line this one to the center of the sphere as close as you can get, and here's the hairline. The horizontal split is where the eyebrows are. The bottom line here is where the nose is. Then we can add another third to find the chin, and then just split this part in half to find the mouth. Amazing. But where is jaw rule? Where's the jaw? We're missing just one piece to wrap up the first level. To draw it, we'll need 2 more vertical cuts, just like we did for the chin and the hairline. This one's a little easier though. We just need to fit it right in between the other guidelines. You can hand trace it, of course, but it should be just a scaled down version of the very first vertical cut that we made. Just like that. Check your distances again. You'll know it's well constructed when you get the same distance here. A parallel curve, basically. Now we can start the jawline from the convenient intersection that we have here. Go down and forward, break the line, and join at the chin. There we go. Something to double check before you move on. The jaw is usually a little longer than it is tall. The line here is always just a little bit shorter, but not too much, or it will look like poo-poo. Now that wasn't so bad, wasn't it? Let's add a cylinder for the neck and ship it. The better you can do this step, the nicer your faces will look. The more crooked your construction looks, the more crooked your face, you get the idea. Now, if you're stuck in Struggle Town trying to do this, I made a 3D model to help with this stuff in case you want to use it as a reference. It's free. You can find the link in the top right corner of the screen and in the video description. I guess you could also use it to skip over everything that I just showed you, but this is great practice for your dexterity. Drawing simple volumes is at the core of construction, one of the most important art fundamentals. I recommend you carry a cheap sketch pad around and practice this stuff whenever you have some free time. Do it now. At level 2, we'll be turning this faceless mannequin head into something that looks more like a person and quickly looking at some key differences between males and females. Now let's start by adding the ears. We have the guideline that we need already, so there you go. We can draw it around this region here, on this line. It doesn't have to be perfect again, we're all different. Next, we can add a suggestion for the nose. It'll follow a similar curvature as the symmetry line for the face, so it'll curve to the right here as well. But if the head is pointing in a different direction, so will the nose. It's a team player. For the mouth, we can just add the thickness for the bottom lip for now and jump to the eyes right away. Oh boy, where do they go? To find out, we can start by narrowing down the area that we have left in between the nose and the eyebrows. This area here. Let's tilt our horizontal line a bit first, then draw another one starting from the same points, just lower. If you like your characters very stylized with like big eyes, you can make this visor thing taller or shorter for more realistic proportions. Kind of like mine. We're not done though, so let's kind of suggest the eye socket real quick. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. And there's a good reason why we drew this line here. We can now use it to draw the eyebrows. Usually they'll kind of follow the supraorbital margin, aka the contour of the eye sockets that we just drew. Add some beautiful eye placeholders, a hint for the bottom of the nose, et voila. A simple head with basic features. Practicing drawing this in various angles can be pretty challenging, and take your time. And that's level 2. Already kind of looks like a face, right? Now before moving on to level 3, we can start to adjust our generic head to fit our needs a little better. Maybe making it look more masculine or more feminine. Honestly though, for female faces, there's probably not going to be a lot to do to this generic head. You could make your character look cuter by making the eye socket bigger to get bigger eyes, shrinking down the nose and mouth, and tapering the chin a bit more. But I think the changes are more obvious for male characters if you want them to look like strong and chunky. The opposite of cute, basically. I mean, you could do the same thing for female too, I guess. But anyways, for males, basically, we can start by thickening the neck cylinder to suggest a more muscular physique. We can make the jawbone more pronounced by making it a bit longer and a bit wider. Same thing for the nose. We could also make the eyes a little smaller. Essentially, we're just going the opposite direction that we went for the female version. And level 2, begun. Make way for level 3. Now, let's flesh out those facial features a little more and see how I draw each of them individually. Let's start off with the eyes because it's the most important. It's our window into the soul. We'll start with an eyeball, the iris, and the pupil. We'll use this as our canvas and draw the shape of the eye within the circle here. Eye shapes will vary quite a bit depending on how stylized you prefer them to be, but the structure should look something like this for best results. Start at the corner of the eye, go up, then straight or maybe a slight tilt down, another straight line to the edge of the circle, and then a curve back to the other side to complete the shape. We can also add a little line here to emphasize the corner. Now, let's just add the upper eyelid fold and a much more subtle line for the lower eyelid. And then if we do this at an angle, as if we were much taller looking down, it's a little more tricky, but it's the same process. You just gotta try and imagine that we're drawing this on a spherical surface, not a flat surface. I don't recommend you waste your time practicing this too much though. Practice the more neutral angles you'll use most often instead. Generally speaking, avoid the extreme angles until the rest is a lot easier. Alright, let's do it for real on the face now, starting with the eyeballs, the shape of the eyes, and the eyelid folds. Oh snap, that worked pretty well. Of course, we can get rid of the lines that we don't need anymore. Shoo. Alright, that's better. Eventually, you'll get used to drawing the eye shape enough where you won't need to draw the eyeballs anymore. But if you're just starting to practice this stuff, I find it helps position things properly. Oh, and also, make sure there's an eye's width in between the eyes, or your character's gonna look super derpy. Next on the menu, the nose. Easy one. Start with a trapezium shape. That's as if we were looking up somebody's nose. The tip is this way, and we're just going to add the nostrils tilted in the same direction as the edges there. So seen from the front, we'll just have to curve that trapezium surface a little bit, and we're basically done. From the side, it might look something like this. Pretty simple shape. We can push the detail some more by doing some shenanigans to the lines here. There, that looks pretty convincing. Yet still quite simple. On the actual head, we can do it again, but round out the corners of our trapezium shape. Add a line to indicate the angle of the nose like we did earlier, and we're done. Just a minor surgery. For male characters or for female characters with a stronger nose, we can continue that line all the way to the eyebrows too to better emphasize the bridge of the nose. You might then have to erase part of the eye if the line lands on top of the eyeball because of the angle. Don't forget. Next, the mouth. Probably the easiest of the bunch. I start with the corners as guidelines, then curve up slightly to draw the upper lip, leaving some space in the middle for the upper lip tubercle, add the cupid's bow, the vermilion border for the lower lip, maybe a few lines to suggest shadow underneath, and we're done. Let's do it again from the side. First, the corner of the mouth, the line for the upper lip curving up, the tubercle, the cupid's bow, vermilion border, and ship it. The final piece, well, the ear. Let's get it. From the side first, we can start with our overall shape. Again, not very important. There are all kinds of ears, just something along those lines. I start with the helix and I kind of leave it there. Then I move on to the tragus, into the heel, into the antitragus and the antihelix. Wow, there's an ear. From the front now, start with the helix again, leave it there. Move on to the tragus, down to the heel and back up again into the antitragus and finally into the antihelix. The helix wraps all around the ear so we can suggest it there, like this, and have it go behind the antihelix when seeing it from the front to suggest the perspective. And that's gonna wrap it up for this week's class. We packed a lot of information, so don't hesitate to give it another watch to make sure you got all of it. Also, if you haven't already, now is the time to pay the class fee of either 1 like or 1 sub. None of this was free, you know. Don't steal. Also, I hope it helped. Since you made it all the way until the end, you can go ahead and grab my brush set for free. It includes the brush that I used for today's class. It's my favorite line art brush. It's the best. Link in the description. See you next week.